Hey everyone, welcome back. And in this video, let's just go ahead and discuss about meta tags. Meta tags is a very interesting thing. And as a sort of a front-end web developer, if you're working in a company or in a startup which wants to have SEO, that is search engine optimization, meta tags are going to be your friend. Why? Because, meta tags serve a lot of information to these bots and crawlers and search engines about what your page is or how your page, what your page contains as a sort of a header information. So by now you might have guessed that meta tags goes into a head section, and they are not like, you don't really have to close them, just like image tags. So it starts with, just meta keyword, but it obviously needs to have more sort of information. So the first tag, which, the first thing which you'll actually see, which is sort of like required in HTML as well, I guess, is meta char set. And then you have to specify UTF-8 here. What this really means is that when your browser is reading this document, it means that whatever characters you're going to be using are going to lie in the UTF-8 char set. So if you go to like Wikipedia page of UTF-8, you can go ahead and read more about what UTF-8 is, but it's more like, if you read about it, is capable of encoding all the what is over 1 million characters code points in Unicode, right? So yeah, this is basically that. This means that you will not be using some weird sort of character which is not present in Unicode, right? And if you're using it, I don't know, probably your browser might just not display it in the way you like. So this is like informing the browser, right? And other people like search engine could also use this to get information. The next thing is that, there is sort of a variant of meta, which is interesting. I'll tell you why. And that is HTTP equivalent, right? Or EQ. I don't know if this is equivalent or EQ, but yeah, that's how you spell it. What this tag is that it can sort of mimic how the response comes from a backend. Now hear me out. In your the fundamentals of HTML, fundamentals of HTTP course, which you have taken for the front-end developer learning path, you have learned how websites work, right? When you visit a URL like this, if I go to console inspect, don't worry if you don't know about this interface, we'll actually learn this in Chrome DevTools course. So if I refresh this, you can see that we have a couple of requests here. The first one is the request which I'm looking for. So you see we have certain response headers which tells some information, right? So in a similar way, there are a few things, a few values which you can use here, which will mimic as if it is coming as a response header, right? Now this is not, something which you'll use very often. This is actually a rarely used thing. But when you need it, it's pretty cool. I'll give you one example, which is like I think the 99% of the times you'll use this is because of this. And that is to refresh your page on the HTML level, right? So if you have a little bit of experience with JavaScript, you know that you can refresh with JavaScript. But did you know that you can actually refresh your page automatically with HTML itself without actually involving any user click or anything like a link click? You can do that by saying HTTP EQ is refresh, and then your content will actually, be a duration in which you want the content to refresh. Let's say every 5 seconds. And I'm going to have a body here, and I'll just say I am refreshed, right? Let's see if we can observe that. So you see, I'm refreshed is here. I have selected this text, and within 5 seconds, you see the page refreshes. And you can also see that the request here is, you can see a request from the server, right? So if I select this again, after 5 seconds, it should probably just refresh, right? So it just refreshes automatically. So this is how you can automatically refresh with HTML. Not the best use case, but I'll tell you a little secret. If I refresh this page itself, what you're gonna see is that when your playground is loading, you're gonna see this nice, this interface, right? This interface right here refreshes every 3 seconds to check if your environment is set up, right? And the way it does that is using the same sort of HTTP EQ. right? So that is one use case. So we are using it on CodeDam itself, which I just showed you. So anyway, this is like one way of HTTP equiv using HTTP equiv. The other ways which are most common with meta tags are basically using the name and the content format. So you're gonna have meta name as, for example, let's say description, and content is gonna be something like this is a recipe website for, let's say, pizzas, right? So let's say you're creating a personal blog on how to make best pizzas or how different pizzas are created or made, and you want your website to be indexable. That is, if somebody goes to Google and types how to create a pizza, you want your website to be probably shown, right? So this is how you can make sure of things like these. This is like a first step you should do in order to optimize your on-page SEO. That is, you should have correct meta tags, meta description, title of the page, title, how to make pizzas. Then there's also a meta name keyword as far as I remember, but I think Google does not really support it anymore. But you get the idea. You can just go ahead and read about SEO meta tags if you want. But yeah, this is how, that's basically the use case of meta tags in terms of SEO. And we also saw an interesting use case with that HTTP equiv, right? So yeah, that's basically it to meta tags. Nothing related to as such your page. That is why it is actually called meta, because this is meta information to your page, right? So it's not really, meta tag would not really affect your page anyway, except for that HTTP queue refresh. So it will just be a very quiet sort of tag and would be just sitting on your page. That's it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm gonna see you and discuss more interesting stuff about HTML in the next one.